Hello everyone, my name is Nayan. This is like I think seventh, eighth time I'm recording this. I don't really know how to do this well. But my presentation is titled "Examining Learning Theories and Practice Supporting a Cambodian Multicultural Learner in a Korean Primary Classroom." I'm going to share one real classroom case and use learning theories to analyze how teaching classroom interactions and assessment affects the students' motivation and learning. I am like during this APEC season, so I'm running APEC. So because Trump is coming, the President Trump is coming next week. It's just been like super busy. So I hope like this time it really works. So I'm gonna try different time because it's only recording the first slide and not anymore. So in this presentation, I'll critically examine how classroom practices influence learning and engagement. The case focuses on a Cambodian migrant student in a Korean elementary school who faces linguistic and cultural barriers. I use three key theories: Vygotsky's social culture theory, Maslow's motivation theory, and Gartner's multiple intelligence. Finally, I'll connect these theories and real classroom improvements for multicultural learners. Um, so, just explaining the Korean cultural background before we begin. Korean classrooms are becoming increasingly multicultural as immigration rises. Especially, we have a lot of in the rural area, very young, oftentimes uneducated ladies just after like 18, 19 from Southeast Asia with the limited education or understanding of Korea, they're just marrying old Korean men, mostly farmers. So their kids do not really get a lot of support educational wise. So we have a lot of social issues. So I'm just going to cover that. So the student in the case recently arrived from Cambodia and speaks limited Korean. Because of the language barrier, the student struggles to participate and often stays silent in class. The teacher uses the same approach for all students, which means little differentiating or scaffolding for those who need extra help. The situation highlights the importance. The teacher mainly uses a lecture and worksheet method. This method is structured and efficient, but it encourages passive learning and memorization rather than understanding. Constructivist theories such as Piaget and Vygotsky argue that students learn best through interaction and hands-on experience. For the student, the lack of active participation leads to disengagement and limited comprehension. Um, uh, so, because social cultural theory tells us that learning happens through interaction within what he called the zone of proximal development. In this classroom, the Cambodian student receives a little scaffolding, no peer support, no bilingual aid, and very few visual cues. This makes it difficult to connect new information while existing knowledge. If the teacher paired the student with bilingual peer, use more visuals, or encourage small group discussion, you'll be expanding the student's learning experience and potential and confidence. And I'm not just talking about just one Cambodian student out of like all the other um, students in one school. Sometimes what you see is if the students are like 30 in one classroom, maybe like seven is like a Korean, and the rest would be like the mix of the like a half Filipinos, Cambodian, half Laos, half Thai, something like that. So it's not just targeting just one Cambodian student, but I'm just talking about general multicultural student that exists in South Korea. That's just becoming more common. So it's just hard to target just one nationality. It's in a little area. It's like 10 different nationalities in one school. Whose like fathers are all Korean, something like that. When I observed the class, the teacher spoke most of the time and students mainly listened. So the Cambodian students rarely raised their hands and often avoided eye contact. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, motivation depends on first on safety and belonging. Because the student feels insecure and isolated, it's hard for them to engage in higher level learning. A more inclusive and supportive classroom climate would help restore their motivation. So, Maslow's theory shows that students must feel emotionally safe before they can focus on achievements. Teachers can do this by giving positive feedback, showing empathy, and celebrating small successes. For example, grading of students in both Korean and Khmer or recognizing their cultural background can make them feel seen. These small gestures may seem not so important, but they help fulfill belonging needs and boost intrinsic motivation. Even doing some business or when we are traveling somewhere, we also notice that we would like to say a couple words in their own language, and most of the time it's just simple as greeting or thank you, I'm sorry. But these do make differences as we travel, so we can approach that for like the same direction. In this school, assessment relies heavily on written tests. For multilingual students, this type of assessment doesn't show their real understanding. It mainly reflects their language proficiency. The Cambodian students often score low even when they understand the material. Black and Williams' research on formative assessment shows that the continuous feedback helps students learn from mistakes. Instead of focusing on the test score, teachers could use ongoing formative feedback to support improvement. Gardner's theory reminds us that students have many kinds of intelligence: linguistic, visual, spatial, interpersonal, and more. So that's what we should be using, and always be aware that students have some kind of talent. If they're not good at this, they can be good at something else. Recognizing the diverse ability to help create their fairer evaluation and encourage self-confidence. To summarize the proposed changes, first, replace lecture-based lessons with collaborative activities using bilingual resources. Second, promote peer scaffolding and cooperative learning. Third, diversity assessments through portfolios or tasks and visual projects. Finally, provide frequent formative feedback to help the student track their progress. These changes support inclusion while improving learning outcomes for all students. So my expected impact and impression, if these improvements are applied, we can expect several positive outcomes. Students like the Cambodian learner will participate more actively and gain confidence. Their achievements will be reflected more accurately across different assessment types. And most importantly, the classroom will become a community that values diversity, empathy, and growth. This case made me realize that effective teaching is not just delivering content, it's about connecting with learners. Culturally responsible pedagogy empowers students to construct knowledge together. Differentiation isn't a luxury, it's essential for fairness and educational justice. Teachers who adapt to delivery create classrooms where every child can thrive. In conclusion, effective learning occurs when teaching methods, interactions, and assessments align with learning theory. Vygotsky highlighted the social nature of learning. Maslow reminded us that motivation depends on emotional safety, and Gartner shows that intelligence is multifaceted. When these theories are integrated, classrooms become more inclusive and meaningful for our learners. Diversity in this sense becomes a source of strength rather than difficulty. Thank you.